Welcome back. Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize says Medical Research Council President Professor Glenda Gray has agreed to correct statements she made about government's handling of the lockdown. Gray had called certain aspects unscientific. Government labelled the allegation as false and called for an inquiry.
I got a call from her that she wanted to discuss this matter and considered on a number of issues, and she was going to do a public correction of issues that she understood were wrongly attributed to her comments, and therefore make that retraction. So we left the issue at that, and so as far as I would be concerned, there is no basis to even suggest that there's any interference with the academic freedom of anybody. I did note that there were other academics who had written a petition or they had written a statement in the public. However, I thought that the assumption that there was any threat to freedom of expression or academic freedom was misunderstood, because there is no such. Every scientist is very welcome. Every academic is very welcome to express their views. And certainly, as in a normal democracy, if anybody argues and expresses their views, they should be understood and respected as such. But when those views are incorrect and factually incorrect, they must be corrected. And that is basically the reality of how any democracy should work. And so I think we will just note that the public, as far as we would be concerned, is actually properly led with a scientific basis of the actions that we take. There are differences of opinions here and there, but I think what has been good is that all the political parties and everyone out there has actually focused on the fact that this is a major challenge for South Africa, and there's no need for us to politicize it. There's no need for us to grandstand on it. There's no need for us to try and score political points about it. We must just keep the public properly informed. And so whenever there's any sense of disinformation or inaccurate information, we'll step up to the fore and actually get it corrected.
All right, let's just put this in context. Remember, Professor Glenda Gray gave a media interview. The Health Minister then subsequently responded, and the Health Director General called for the Medical Research Council, where Professor Gray works, to investigate her. Now, this has rallied some of the country's foremost scientists and academics behind her, defending her right to criticise. Meanwhile, the Medical Research Board has now released a statement saying it has found that it's Professor Gray, the President, did nothing wrong in airing her personal views to the media, and it will not be investigating further. The board also advised Gray, the Health Minister, and the Ministerial Advisory Committee to settle their differences. To discuss, we're now joined by Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana. Professor, forgive me for messing up your surname. Thank you for being with us as always. Professor of Political Science at the University of Johannesburg. This has become so embroiled. Just comment there on what the Minister was saying. Maybe finally an amicable solution where the Professor and the Minister can stand together, but she can correct some of her wrong statements if they were factually incorrect.
That's the right ending to this. In fact, it should have ended a little while ago. Because after Minister Mkhize had made his speech responding to Prof. Gray, I thought his statement was clear enough. It was harsh enough, showed that disapproval of some of the things that Professor Gray had said, and even corrected some of the distortions that were contained in Prof. Gray's initial statement. So that alone, to me, was sufficient. It was good of the Minister to call Professor Gray out in public, because she had made her statements in public, which were a little bit unfortunate, I must say, because for someone serving in a committee like that, at this particular point in time, you would expect a certain kind of deportment, not to air your frustrations out in public, because that creates the impression that those committees are not necessarily united, that there are divisions, that, you know, to call people idiots is not a good thing.
So can I stop you there? Do you think she should not have spoken out in the first place?
I don't think she should have spoken out in public, because these are committees set up to provide leadership, and the entire public is looking out to get clear intellectual advice. Of course, you expect academics to agree, or rather to disagree quite robustly on this thing, but those disagreements should take place within. We don't want, as the public, to get the impression that, you know, people are disagreeing. There's no clear sense of what is correct. So those disagreements publicly, it undermined public confidence in those committees. It was completely unnecessary. But to say so with fear is quite appropriate. But the subsequent response by the bureaucrat, the Director General, was completely out of line. It bordered on draconian measures of sorts.
So let's just clarify, this was the Director General Anban Pillay saying that her organization must investigate the professor because she made statements undermining government's work, basically.
Well, I mean, that was absurd. She had made a statement, and my sense was that she made that statement out of exasperation. I don't know, she might have been frustrated with something within the committees, because some of the things that she said were proven to be incorrect somehow, and I guess she has subsequently admitted to that. So she made an error that you would expect people to make when working under such conditions, and perhaps justifiably feeling that she was not being listened to. So you would expect those things to happen. So, and therefore there's no need, especially after Minister Mkhize had made his public rebuttal. There was no need, therefore, to go for what looked like a jugular, that she must be investigated. There are certain things that she might have done, therefore she must, I mean, that was, it bordered on the draconian, completely unnecessary.
So the Minister today saying, you know, there was never a threat to freedom of speech. He was just correcting the statements. Do you think he should have maybe called out his own Director General then?
Well, he should have. I mean, I don't even know if the bureaucrat could have issued that letter without the minister agreeing. You know, but I have no reason to doubt the minister's integrity. But it was completely unnecessary that you would issue a letter like that for the Medical Research Council to investigate Professor Gray. She made a stupid comment. You know, you all do that. You expect people to do that. So there's no need then to go for what looked like really her head, for her to be disqualified, to be investigated. It was completely absurd.
What about the Medical Research Council? I mean, how does it look out of this? It did actually apologize for the embarrassment called, then it investigated. Was that wise? Although it has said that she's cleared. It won't take the matter further.
I assume that the board was like some of us felt a little bit awkward that Professor Gray had to make such statements in public. I think most people disapproved of that. I certainly did disapprove. I don't think it was appropriate. And perhaps the board thought it was inappropriate of her to do so and did not want to issue an immediate dismissal, perhaps to create the impression that they don't take such conduct seriously. And the fact that they come back to say that there is nothing untoward is satisfactory enough, because I would have been worried had they gone ahead to investigate, because there was nothing to investigate, really. And it would have been unfortunate for government as well, right? Because if you invite such investigations and you have the board issue something harsh, I doubt that there would have been any self-respecting academics left to work with government, because those are things that are completely unnecessary. It would have been bullying, really, and it was really unnecessary.
All right, thank you for your analysis, Professor Mcebisi Ndletyana, saying he disagreed with Professor Glenda Gray speaking out in the first place, but more concerned about what happened thereafter in the Health Ministry. But we do seem to have an amicable solution, the Medical Research Council now dropping any further investigations as well.